It was a drama in the National Assembly. It was televised nationwide. Even people across the world watched the debate at the National Assembly over the alleged more than 2 trillion naira padded into the 2024 budget. And followed the suspension of Abdul Ningi, who raised that alarm. SDP, it is one of the voice of the opposition political parties in Nigeria. What is your take?
Well, I'm happy you mentioned a debate in the National Assembly. National Assembly constitutionally are to debate issues, are to make laws, are to correct impressions, and allegations against themselves. Not only that, National Assembly deals with the budget being proposed by the executive. Not only that, they have an oversight function to ensure that that budget is being implemented. Those are heavy responsibilities associated to National Assembly. And that's why they have committees that have an oversight functions. The chairmen of committees in the National Assembly serve as ministers. Now, if there is such heavy allegation of padding of a budget from a ranking senator, what naturally is required of a chamber that is composed of intellectuals, politicians, analysts, journalists, lawyers, what they ought to have done is to investigate it thoroughly, to find out the veracity of that allegation, or to refer it to the Committee of Ethics and other things to investigate whether what Senator Abdul Ningi have said, it is true or not. But unfortunately for them, they covered it live in trying to show that they are very transparent. Again, the same people will moot a public, address system of anybody who is talking. It will be mooted. They won't allow him to mention things that he wants to mention. Now, who is deceiving, who is hiding what? This is a very heavy allegation. At the time the country is struggling to feed itself, at the time there are heavy allegations ranging from the racketeering and profiteering of the CBN, NNPC, other agencies, paramilitary, agencies of government like Maritime Port Authority. Those are heavy influx of the federal government. Now, if I were the Senate President, or if I was a senator, and my voice is very critical, what they ought to have done is 2 steps. One, to admit what Senator Abdul have said, and then constitute a committee to verify what the allegation he have made, rightly or wrongly. 2, they have a spokesman of the Senate. After the committee have done so, the chairman of the publicity committee of the Senate can make clarification of some of the issues being raised by Senator Abdul Ningi. But all those things were not there. You can see a prearrangement or sort of things that the whole target is not to allow what he have said to go on a full-scale debate, but that punishment has been prescribed to suspend him from the Senate. But they forgot that there are precedents. Ndume was suspended. The court started him back. And I don't know whether any Senate have any power to suspend an elected member from his own constituency that his own people elected him. I don't know whether they have that power. And I think there's a Supreme Court judgment to that effect. But somehow we behave as if we're a lawless country. Nobody can raise issue on the establishment. You'll be seen as witch hunting the system. But this pardon issue did not start with this Senate. If you remember the last one, there was a very heavy controversial budget pardon. In fact, that was the first time Nigeria understand what pardon of budget is all about. But then there was a heavy debate around it. And the National Assembly tried to extricate itself from it. Now, by suspending Senator Abdul Ningi, have you killed the issue? The answer is no. The issue have gone wild both locally and internationally. Because Abdul have published his position, he still maintained his position. And of course, he resigned as a chairman of Northern Senators Forum. And he have said that he is not speaking on behalf of the senator. Now, he have not said that he spoke on behalf of the Northern Senators. Now, what is important is the issues that they have raised, whether it's true or not. We are in a country where warehouses are being boggled. People are looking for food to eat. It's a very sensitive thing. Nigerians are hungry. Not just hungry, there's no food. There's a difference between there's a food in the market and you have money to buy the food. Even if food available, where is the money for Nigerians to buy the food? So these are very sensitive issues that I thought at this difficult time, the National Assembly will be extremely very careful in dealing with issues that are extremely very fragile in a country whereby the fragility is extremely very high, the insecurity is very high, the political environment is tensed up. People have gone into ethnic, religious, and regional issues instead of dealing with national issues that will stabilize Nigeria. I feel ashamed about it.
But don't you think that Senator Abdul Ningi was unable to defend himself, even at the Senate? Because the question posed to him by the Senate President, when he asked him, so some of the allegations you said, because he said that two documents were presented, one was signed, and the other one was being implemented. So these were some of the things that they were trying to clear at that very debate. So
no.
He couldn't harmonize that.
No, I followed the entire submission, and I watched the program live, and I watched some of the senators saying that Abdul should be allowed to explain himself. They couldn't allow him. In fact, he was making presentation when he was interrupted. So, and some senators urged, particularly Senator Kwashiki, appealed to the leadership of the Senate to allow him to speak extensively on the issue. If he do not speak of the issue, how would they understand where he's coming from? And how would they say that this is right or this is wrong? Now, the worst scandal will be, this document will be in the public domain. And majority of the people might not be able to analyze it and come to a conclusion, the veracity or otherwise, of what was said. But they, in the Senate, that have passed this budget and have the oversight function and making sure the budget is being implemented, they are in the better position to allow that issue to be debated thoroughly. And after debating it thoroughly, after conclusive investigation, and then if there are sanctions, the sanction might be justifiable. But there was no thorough investigation. It has not been deferred to the Committee of Ethics and Privilege to deal with it. And then, of course, one senator just woke up from the sleep and suggests that there should be a sanction. One suggested 12 months. One suggested 6 months. One amended to 3 months. But he was an elected senator. You cannot deny his constituency by virtue of an error, whatever you attempt to call it. I concur with the submission of Senator, what do you call the former governor of Edo State, Adam Oshomole. He said that, look, the mind might be wrong from the heart. And he told Senator Abdul to look at it and then admit whether it's an error of the head or an error of the heart. Look, these are matured minds in terms of analytical of issues trying to solve a problem. When you personalize a problem that is beyond you, that is of national concern, that deal with the nerves of Nigeria, that deal with the feeling of the youths that are frustrated, they don't have jobs, they don't have food, parents hold their property to send children to school. You are not prioritizing that budget to take care of them. You are not prioritizing that budget to train millions of plumbers, millions of electricians, millions of fashion industries, millions of furnitures, millions of carpenters, that will take this majority, almost 60% of the street. You are busy dealing with budget, and you said there are two forms of budget. There's one that have been legislated upon. There's one that is for intervention. Now, in the whole, what is it? It's called expenditure. Because on both sides, you have to disperse the money. So it is left for them to now go back to their thinking ability and say that, look, there are probabilities that we have erred in rushing this decision. This issue is in public domain. How do we deal with it? How do we solve it? And then at the end of the day, it is Abdul's right to go to court, because you can't suspend an elected member. If procedures were breached, there are ways to correct it. It's not by sanctioning him, when you suspend, did you kill the issue? He said he was not going to apologize. And that is a catchy thing to me. He said, I'm not apologizing, I'm standing by what I have said. Now, if the man that have accused the system say he's not apologizing, what is natural is the system to investigate it thoroughly and make sure they deal with it from beginning to the end so that they will clear their name completely from it. Not only that, a senator stood up and said that He is not a beneficiary, he's a ranking senator. Some of them collected 500 million. So you can see the complicated submissions within the senators themselves. You can see the division on issues within the senators themselves. And you can see even the process of amending the punishment differs within the ranking of the senators. So I think there is no coherent way of dealing with very sensitive issues that deal with the sensitivities of Nigeria at this difficult time when people are struggling to feed 3 times a day.
Okay, what do you suggest that the Senate should do at this critical time after taking this very verdict on Abdul Ningi?
You know, no country, I can't remember any country that is operating a rigid constitution now. Virtually all countries are operating flexible constitutions, which means that you can make a mistake as a leader. There's no perfection in leadership anywhere. Mistakes are bound to happen in any leadership. What I'm advising them, they should withdraw that suspension. It should come in the form of a motion in the Senate. Withdraw it. Re-invite Senator Abdul Ningi. Let him submit that document formally. It should be admitted in the Senate. And then the Senate should defer it to a committee to investigate it thoroughly. So Nigerians need an answer. It's not about Abdul Ningi. It's about resources being embedded. And in his own opinion, they have not been captured properly. So it has nothing to do with Abdul Ningi as a senator. It has to do with the heavy allegation in a country where the poverty level have grown very high. The purchasing power is beyond the reach of an average man. We are all victim of it. We go to the same market. What we try to do is to give an opinion that will help the country. We cannot be part of pulling down the roof. No responsible citizens will push an idea of pulling down the roof at this time around. And you can see one of the senators going on ethnic and regional issues. You can see one of them saying that no, it's targeted to remove the Senate president. Where? Issues were raised. It has nothing to do with removing the Senate president. If there are issues to remove Senate president, it's a matter of number. Now, if you have a comfortable number, so the Senate president is protected. If you don't have a comfortable number, work on the comfortable number to protect the leadership of the Senate. They lobbied to get elected. And if you can lobby to get elected, which means you can work on stabilizing the votes that you have. So you have to isolate the two cases, deal with the case of allegation, deal with the case of stabilizing the National Assembly, the leadership of the National Assembly. It has to go, differently because the approach is not the same, and it cannot be the same. So that is the way it should be. I believe the Senate have erred, maybe in good faith or in bad faith. They can reverse it. They can recall Abdul Ningi, sit down with him. What are these issues? Present it. Otherwise, what was the essence of airing it live? The aim is defeated. Now, if they want to deal with it quietly, they shouldn't have aired it live. It have gone all over the world. I have seen analysis in some of the international medias regarding this issue. Even a while ago, I saw it in one of the international stations. The allegation is still hanging on the leadership of the National Assembly. And of course, the Senate president said that what Abdul said have damaged the image of the Senate. He said so, that he has damaged it. Now, if it have damaged it, your job as a Senate president is to make sure you cleared that damage. You restore the image and the integrity of the National Assembly, particularly the Senate. You make sure you restore it. How do you restore it? Is to allow the process to go on thoroughly, transparently. And of course, if there are other ways that it can be resolved, you resolve it amicably. But not that when things are on the streets and is in everybody's lips and in everybody's analysis. If you go to entire social media handle, it has saturated everywhere. And good or bad, the media or the individual perception that Abdul is right. So they sanction him because he's saying the truth, because public funds are being siphoned. So how do they solve this problem? Because it has created more problem than solving the problem. Sanctioning him have not solved the problem. It's escalated the situation.
Well, so what will be the advice for Abdul Ningi, who is serving his suspension?
Well, I want him. He's not a newcomer in the Act of Parliament. He's an all hand, and he stands for saying that I have no apology means he has something to offer. My advice to him is that he must submit himself transparently to the system. Is beyond the National Assembly right now. It engulfs the entire Nigerians. Nigerians are interested in it. He needs to explain more. He needs to come up with more facts so that people will know clearly that what he's saying is real. It's not that maybe he's misquoting the system or he's not getting his statistics right. So he has a responsibility also to prove himself that what I'm saying, I'm correct, I'm standing by it. And if he found out that he couldn't reconcile the figure properly, there's nothing wrong in saying, I'm sorry, to apologize to the nation and apologize to the National Assembly, assuming what he said is not correct. It's normal to err. We are all human beings. Anybody can err. That's why I said I stand with the submission of Adam Oshomole. You know, his submissions were intellectually based. You cannot defeat it. He said, look, we can all err in leadership. Anybody that has been around the corridors of power knows that you are bound to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. President made mistakes. Governors made mistakes. Senators made mistakes. Everybody made mistakes because no perfection has been created anywhere. So don't be ruthless in taking decisions. If you apply ruthless in taking a national decision, the implication is going to be extremely very heavy.
Thank you very much, National Chairman, Social Democratic Party.
Thank you so much.